another gorgeous day on planet Earth and another day of Dose of Did You Know, where intriguing, inspiring, unique individuals come to talk love and life and how it's brought them to where they are today. I am your host, Danny Rocco, and with me is Dr. Rob. How are you today?
I'm great, Danny. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so humbled. I never find myself interesting. I'm thankful that you find me at least interesting enough to dedicate an hour to me.
Well,
So
that's
I really
probably
appreciate
why I feel you're interesting, because you don't think you are, right? You'd be a kind of a dick if you thought you were like the bomb.
that. This is true.
Right? And I really appreciate, do you know how many men, and I didn't realize this till yesterday when I was booking a singer, like a famous singer that's coming on in May, and I'm super excited, but his manager was like, what do you mean by love? And I'm like, so many people get freaked out because I'm like, how love and life have brought you to the where you are today. I think they're like, are you going to dig into like my love relationships? Or am I going to have to talk about stuff? You never once asked me what love meant. So hashtag very cool for you.
Cool.
Yeah. Did you ever even question that? I'm just wondering, because a lot of like people do, they get scared of it.
No, I mean I've been very fortunate to have been felt loved, my whole life, and not I would say that's my more people I talk to and experience and interact with that is not always the case, and so I'm truly thankful for that.
And maybe you see love as like this all-encompassing thing, because I see love as all-encompassing. It's not just like my romantic relationships. It's like everything, right? So I think people that only feel love is associated with romance get a little freaked out.
Right. I mean, there's so many forms of love. I think it all comes down to one sort of central effort. But yeah, there's the love you have for your child, your parents, your siblings, your friends, and I have guy friends. I tell them I love you, like, they know I'm not romantically interested in them. They just know dude, I care about you, your family, your well-being. And, I'm there for you if you ever, need me.
Yeah. You get it. You get it.
Yeah.
You get it. But before I keep talking with you, tell the world a little bit about who Dr. Rob is.
Me, I'm just a regular guy trying to get through life in one piece. I grew up in a working, both my parents' working environment, and so that taught me, work for what you have, and never ask for anything more than what you can provide for yourself, and you do something meaningful in life, and whether it's doing one thing or another. But as my bio is, I grew up the son of a police officer and a nurse, and so they gave their professional lives to something more than just themselves, and so seeing that, I wanted to do the same thing, being that my father had, it's funny, as a kid, you always, like, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman. And, when I was a little older enough, my dad had threatened my life, actually to break both of my legs, I think it was, if I went to police work. So, starting in another way, and I had an aptitude for science, and my parents really kind of, pushed that as far as like, hey, you seem to have aptitude for this. Why don't you do that? And
there you go.
Here I am.
Now, do you think, because it was really cool when I was listening of like how your father raised you, he gave you all of these skills, but then I didn't realize he was like, don't follow in my footsteps. I'm going to give you all of these skills, but then you are not going to apply them at all in your profession.
Right. Yeah, close quarters battle and rappelling from buildings and towers. Definitely not the day-to-day description of a critical care doc, but makes for an interesting past and present. I still, I don't rappel, and but I still, play at the range and try to keep up my skills as much as life and work allow.
Mm-hmm. That probably what gave you, don't you think, that little bit of like something to kind of get into that, what do you call it? Like, I don't even remember. Wilderness?
Yeah, so wilderness medicine, yeah. So
what is wilderness? First of all, what in the hell is wilderness medicine? I didn't even very two simple words that I could not put together and remember.
So wilderness medicine is basically applying medical skills to assess and treat those who are sick in austere environments. And so you have little available to you. And so how can you use what little you have on you to help others? And for me, it's a natural progression for me. It's a longer story than probably anyone wants to hear, but I've been in medicine for pushing 25 years now, and one thing I didn't realize about myself professionally is the craving to evolve. And in a lot of professions, not every profession, but a lot of professions, your role changes. You start at one level and you become maybe a supervisor or a manager, a VP, and your role changes. You can go from business to business or what have you, and you evolve professionally as you go along. And for medicine, the last day that you are in practice before you retire, other than the cake, is identical to your first day in practice. It is exactly the same thing for decades. And so you're just seeing patients and patients and patients. And usually, especially for specialists, you're seeing roughly the same thing every single day, all day long. You don't get to evolve. And that's something I feel compelled to do for me. And so, I can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I can't just be like, well, I'm going to be a hiker because I like hiking, but try to meld the two. Say, well, I'm a doctor, love hiking and backpacking. Let's meld those two. And wilderness medicine is a growing field. It's been in existence for a few decades now, but it's really come into its own. And my take on it is there's a lot of activity in wilderness medicine to treat patients from the medical side, either from a rescue, like a mountain rescue team situation, or emergency department, physician assessing people who are coming off the mountain, hypothermic, etc. How best do we treat all those folks? But despite all that, as a physician, it bugs the hell out of me that every week 6 people die in national parks, U.S. national parks. 6 a week die. So almost 1 a day dies. And another 94 per week require rescue from mountain rescue teams in national parks alone. So that's not even counting wilderness outside of the national parks. In regular medicine, what we do to try to prevent disease is bring the prevention part to the patient. This is what you can do to prevent your blood pressure, your diabetes, your heart disease, whatever, from becoming more of a problem, so that you're going to need a guy like me. So what my angle here is, and I've been on Instagram and trying to post stuff to try and bring that information to the hikers, to the backpackers. There's 65 million of them in North America, and plenty of them go out there in the wilderness completely unprepared. And the 5 reasons people die or need rescue in the wilderness are very, very preventable issues. And if you just brought a compass and knew how to use it, or brought a map, told somebody where you're going to be, dressed properly, brought water with you, it's just like simple stuff. You won't die, really. And so that's really has become my passion in the realm of wilderness medicine.
You would think I'm listening, like, bring water. They're common sense, kind of like wash your hands. You won't, go to the bathroom, wash your hands. Before you eat, wash your hands. Like, these are simple things that, people get lazy? I'm like, what is wrong with our society now? Do we just get lazy and we just think, or we have laziness, or we just want instant gratification? Oh, I'm going to go for a hike. It's a great hiking day. Let's get our stuff and let's go, and not put any forethought because everything is so easily accessible to us.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, it's complacency. It's a lot of we just other things to do. Let me just stop at Starbucks and I'll go for
Yeah.
this 6-mile hike, which I haven't done in 20 years. And then finding yourself lost, cold, hungry and dying. Maybe you didn't wear the right shoes and you rolled an ankle and you can't possibly hike the 6 miles back to your car. And somebody's got to discover at home that you didn't get back and try to find you. And so all kinds of things can happen out there, and people just need to think about it. And prevention is, I think, with the proper prevention, we can cut those numbers that I quoted down to at least 1/10 of that.
Yeah. Well, history shows us that, right? When people have knowledge about anything, like you said, blood pressure, this or that, or it cuts the numbers down. Ignorance is bliss. And so once you know, and a small percentage will apply that kind of stuff. So you need to make common sense, like wilderness, sexy. So people will and want to do it.
Bringing sexy back.
Bring the sexy back to wilderness activities.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think you can do it. Sure.
Right. Well,
I'm putting that power on you right now.
Yeah, certainly. In order to attract people's attention, you have to have some type of hook.
Right.
And thankfully, with the posts I've been doing, and I've been a lot more dedicated to that prevention part as of late. And thankfully, a lot of hikers are humble and grateful enough to say, thank you so much. I learned so much, or I learn a little bit every time I see one of your posts, and I want it to mean something, not just like post a selfie and be like, that does nothing for the world. I've dedicated my entire life to the well-being of strangers, essentially, and so I want these other strangers to do well as well. So it's just an extension. A long-winded answer to your question originally, but it's just basically an extension of what I already do, but just applying it in a different way, and helps me to evolve as a professional.
Are you finding like new fandangle ways of like wilderness medicine? Like I'm thinking like if you go out, then you're like, I'm going to apply XYZ, right? Or do you do like mock things? Because I would totally do that. I'd be like, we're going to stage this and then I'm going to try to figure it out or whatever. I don't know. Do you do that? Because that would be kind of fun. I'd watch that.
Yeah, I think. Well, I haven't yet because life is just starting to get back to normal. 2019 was a rough year for me. There's a lot of sickness and loss in my family in 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020. So hopefully, as life gets back to normal, I will start doing more things like going out to. I personally have a love for the Sawtooth National Forest in Idaho. I just fell in love with it 2 years ago, and 1 year ago I was there, and I would love to go up there and go off trail, and plot a course on the map and use my compass, no GPS, and do it completely analog, and go from one point to another point to another point, and get myself to all the places that I want to be at. So, and to test those skills. And I don't know about documenting my way along the way. I don't know if anybody will find that interesting enough, but in all the stuff I'll encounter, bears and, lack of water and all those different things, collecting water from the environment. And there's so much out there that you can do and demonstrate to other people. And it's been done on TV, but I think it could be done better personally.
Right. Well, you are the man that might be able to do that. I don't know. I was thinking so Jake, my son, my Marine, who I just, when we were talking earlier, he's moving his way out there. May 10th, the big day. It's happy tears of loving motherhood. That's what this is. Actually, this is a side note. I've been finding myself like crying. I've never been a real big crier ever. Like if you know me, are like, she just doesn't cry. I don't know. I think they're like the tear ducts are like jammed or something. I might need medical attention. But I find myself feeling like very emotional. And then I realized that it's not like bad cry emotional. It's kind of like, oh, I think I'm getting some like stuff out and I'm so happy for my son. And it's like good stuff. So anyway, side note on crying, it's good, it's healthy. It doesn't necessarily mean you're sad.
Right.
But you talk about like when I think wilderness, I think of trees and forests and mountains and things like that. But Jake's going out, he's creating this homestead. Basically, it's over a mountain, but it's in, the desert.
Right.
Of it. Have you ever experienced that? Because I feel like that's a little scary. Like there's cactus everywhere, like these little ones you don't even see. I just learned all these new things when I went out there with him.
Right. Scorpions, lots of snakes. Yeah, there's lots of perils in the desert that you will not find in the trees and mountains, etc. Absolutely, completely different environment, completely different strategy for hydration and survival as well. And so yes, and so that all that survival stuff is so again different for that environment. And each environment, altitude is different than just even with trees and mountains. 14,000 feet of elevation is way different than 4,000 feet of elevation. There's a lot of different things you have to do and consider and everything else. So there's so many different environmental ways you have to prepare and have skill for. And so that's what I'm hoping to accomplish that. But yes, so the desert is definitely a unique environment, and one is not human friendly.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have to do like the reason everybody that we had met was through the 1 mile leadership project. We're doing this race across America. I'm on the documentary side. Obviously, Dr. Rob's on the doctor side, making sure everybody actually gets there healthy and strong with no boo-boos. We should do like a 1 mile retreat out in the desert on this like land. It's actually very soothing. I went and camped on it one time, and something about like they have all of these like gems and stuff in the, what is that called, like rose quartz and all over the ground, and the sky is amazing, and there's mountains all around. You just gotta have to go over this mountain pass, and then you get to this like big valley area. It's pretty magical out there, I gotta tell you.
It really is. And so when we were training out in California for this race for the Team 1 Mile, we went from the mountains down into the desert floor. It was just amazing just to see, from above, this floor of just sand. And we went into Borrego Springs, and just really picturesque, beautiful, beautiful sights. I'm looking forward to, I think we went through the actual route through that area, so I'm looking forward to going back there again. But yeah, I would love to do some kind of retreat, like you said, in that type of environment. And
that would be hardcore. That would, because there is no water.
Right.
There's no toilet. You dig a hole. Like, it's very, very rough in it. Also, there's a great Chicago hot dog restaurant, like 45 minutes to get off the mountain.
Yeah.
Amazing restaurant that we can like totally hang out. Back to the wilderness. That's kind of my wilderness goings. But before we kind of wrap up here, what made you say, yeah, I think being part of 1 mile and being part of this race across America, because it's intense, there's a shit out of me. I'm like, we'll back out, and I'll just make Smurf go on his own with all those camera guys. And they don't need a producer at that point. I'll video them in. No, I'm not going to do that week. But what made you say, yeah, it sounds like a cool thing?
Well, it was an amalgam of emotions. So number one, I have immense respect for the folks who put their asses on the line for our freedom, and for other people's freedom in other countries. uh, and certainly, you know, a certain percentage of them not making it back, and another percentage of them making it back and not being the same, and how, you know, what can I as an individual do for them? These guys are, men and women, are my heroes. I mean, they're really the American heroes, and how do we, as you know, non-military folks, say thank you? And so that was one, and that's always been one thing for me. And you know, growing up, my dad had some friends who were in Vietnam, in the war there, and special forces, etc. And even going back as far as that is my
Yeah.
childhood, I just had immense respect for these folks. And so that's number one. Number two, you know, I was just coming up. So this was December, and I got the call, and I was just coming off about 10 months of pandemic, and just seeing people die from an illness that I had no control to 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 stop,
Yeah.
and just seeing people die one after another, after another, after another, after another, and certainly you get the sense of, what am I doing? You know, why am I even showing up? Because they're all dying anyway. And so, to be a part of something that's more enduring, something that's alive, that will have life beyond the race,
Yeah.
with the documentary, et cetera, I think it is also kind of psychologically helpful for me, and just being a part of something that's a little bigger than me. And I think, you know, so it was those three things that really came together, and I did not even hesitate. I got the call, and I was like, you know, F yeah.
Right? Think of why later or whatever later, but yeah, commit and go. Commit and
and
go.
so I was already friends with someone on the team, Monty Heath. We were in contact for a good like year and a half. We had never met, but and so he was the one who kind of, you know, introduced the idea of me being the team doc. So I'm grateful to him to have introduced me to the team, and Mike and Chris for considering me.
Yeah. Well, it's always one, it always happens almost in every single show I do of like, I believe in God, so I'm going to say it. You can believe in whatever you want, but it's God's little way of sprinkling his gifts and perfectly placing people in your life before it even existed. Like, you know, the bringing to that point where you even met Monty was all, the path was already happening. And then bringing it to here, because you were so perfect when we were doing the Navy SEAL obstacle course. Like, I think that's probably where you broke me down. It's like, ooh, there's something different about this guy. Like, you're not just the regular guy, because the way you were trying this stuff, and like sometimes really hard. And I'm like, oh, that had to hurt.
Yeah, I fell flat on my back
Yeah.
twice, but I was not giving up.
No.
I was like, yeah. So to give up, you know, you know, as it's widely known, no successful venture of anything has ever started without failure, and so we don't learn from without failing first. And so, yeah, you know, unless I've broken a leg, I'm getting back up on my legs to get
Yeah.
back at it. And so you know, I'd only been working out for about 6 weeks before all of that. So I'm going to try to give it another shot at a later date, and be a little bit more ready for it.
But seriously, they, like when you said there's no failure, there was nothing to gain except for your own sense of achievement. Like, this was not a contest, people. This was not, you could do it, you could not do it, you could fall and move to the next thing. It was just like, we're going to experience a little bit of what the Navy SEAL training is.
Right.
And you went in like you were going to be a Navy SEAL. Like, if I don't pass this, if I can't do this, I'm out. Like, that was so cool. I just want you to know. I think I even mentioned you, like, that was it. You went into a different category for me, and I was like, I got to find out about this guy. There's something deeper inside his heart than
Well, thank you.
being a doctor.
Right. So whatever I get involved with, I'm in it 110%. And so that obstacle course was no different. And I was in it to I knew it would defeat me in one point or another, but I was not going to let it do so easily.
Yeah.
And
that was fact. And I think I filmed it. So it's out there because it was filmed live. The trial of Dr. Rob at the Navy SEAL O course. So I'm excited to go through this adventure with you, see what happens, see what these, however many days it takes us to get there. We'll have 2 different jobs. We'll be in 2 different vehicles, but our paths will cross along that adventurous way. And
right.
It will definitely be fun. But before I let you go, I ask that you answer this last question with the first thing that comes to your mind. You can explain it or not.
Okay.
It is your answer, I guess is what I'm saying. Is in this moment right now, what does love mean to you?
So, I mean, as we were talking before, there's all kinds of different love, the love that includes romance and the other type of love, for flesh and blood and those who are just friends. But I think the central definition of love that would apply to all, I think would be a selfless commitment to another's happiness, well-being, and success.
Yeah.
And whatever it costs from me to help you in your happiness, your success, your whatever, know that is love from me, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It is. The answer always does sum up perfectly the person. You always know someone's full of crap if their answer to that, it goes against every single thing that they just talked about. You're like, okay, there was a disconnect. We might have to have a deeper conversation off camera, but yours aligned. So you are pure, you are true. Thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you for being part of 1 Mile for my selfish reasons that I got to meet you, and now you're part of my life. I'm so blessed and thankful for that. So thank you, Monty. Thank you, Chris and Mike, for 1 Mile. Follow the 1 Mile project. Follow the journey that you'll see. You're going to see it from now up until the race, and then after, just different pieces of what that whole group is about. And to everybody else out there, remember, as always, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.